Mr. James Scarlett, we go again.
Good afternoon, Gav. You look a bit fresher this week. Are you recovered?
Oh, mate, I am a different. You might as well just say I'm a different co-host. I am a different man. I have vague recollections of last week's episode, but I was a shell. What I noticed afterwards is I get absolutely no credit for showing up in that state and still bashing out a podcast. What I got is, haha, they're not called pelicans. I mean, I have never called pelicans in my entire life, right? And I've done it twice, and I've never called Melvins Melvin in my entire life, and I've done that as well. And let's say, is it Buzzum or Buzzrum? It's Buzzum,
Burzum.
but
Yeah.
I think I say Buzzrum.
Yeah. Thing is, there's only so much. It's like an on-running joke. The sort of how do you say this band name thing, isn't it? I don't want to interrupt you, but I did want to put the boot in on social media the week after.
But feel free, because I mentioned Buzzum about like 50 times, and you let me say it the wrong way around 50 times. Which, to be fair, we can get into the whole Gav being a racist thing again. Anyway, I have never heard a single fucking tune of Buzzum, and I could not give a fuck about Buzzum or any of his music, so it wasn't a massive surprise that I wasn't quite sure if it was R before the Z or the Z before the R. So, I am better. What didn't get flagged up at all, except from one hero on YouTube, was you had one job last week. It was get the name of the company, KRR or KKR, right, and you got it wrong.
Is that
It was, if you went KKR, it was KRR, and if you went KRR, it was KKR. So, fuck you, James.
wow? I didn't know that. I did not know that. Okay.
Right, everyone's
Noted. Thank you.
worried about my pelicans, and Jesus, what a mess. So, to answer your question, I am much better. I was in a bad way when we spoke last week, and now I am good. I've been clean and sober, and maybe that'll last until the weekend, because I am planning to go down to Outbreak on the Sunday, so we can get to that. But first, no one puts the listeners in the corner, right? They never come second. They are the lifeblood of this wee wonderful podcast. The last sort of 5 weeks, the whole super sub thing's got a wee bit overshadowed between us rushing about, the state of me last week, not being able to read someone's message. So let's get bang up to date with that now. These are the people who support the pod through Patreon, through Ko-fi, that have picked out the jar of joy over the last 5 weeks. So to get properly caught up, about 5 weeks ago we had Rob Gange, who asked for side stage at one of the bands. I asked him what kind of bands he'd like to see. He mentioned Stamping Ground, Conjurer, Wormrot. I'm almost certain, Rob, we can get you and your two pals up for the side of stage for Stamping Ground. Possibly also Wormrot and Conjurer. I will sort that out with Tom Stokes, the guy who's on that stage, does the artist liaison, make sure it's alright. But you will get up side stage to watch one of the bands you like. Tick. Look,
Good.
ask for a damnation patch. It's in my hand, look. I am sending you it. The only reason there's been a delay in it is I thought I had a two promoters one patch in this house. I don't. They were all sent back to Pins and Knuckles. So unfortunately, it's just the one patch I've got for you. If I was Virgin and I had a battle jacket myself, I would cut the patches off it and I'd send them to you, but I don't. So, 2. Chris, guy called Freaky Wombat. He had an odd one. He wants to help set up Damnation and possibly help break down Arctangent for his sort of super sub contribution, which is like, yes, of course, mate.
I mean, you're in, Chris. We would absolutely love to have you. And
So,
I'm at my very best at ATG breakdown because I've got no more stress in the future. I just sit around sort of basking in the warm glow. So please do it.
So you're in for both, Chris. You can. He says he's been a Damnation fan since the Jellies days, and he just wants to come along and help with the setup. Setups, yes, mate. Please, we carry about fucking crates upon crates of waters and lagers and all the rider in, and then if you're needed for the volunteer crew, then great. You could maybe help out the back line loaded in, and then afterwards when we put up all the artwork and all the fences takes a ton of time to put up and that. So yes, please. Let's get that sorted. I feel that that's him doing us a favour. So he also asked, can he have Beecher Dead for Weeks added to the On The Record playlist? That is also a yes. This episode, by the time the On The Record playlist is done, will be chock-a-block. There is lots of On The Record action happening in this thing. So that's us 3 up. Matt Lawson Hall last week, he was the guy who wrote a fucking Bible worth of stuff that I just didn't have the headspace to read. So he's saying, love the pod, love what you're both doing with the festivals. You guys have crafted something really special. I've been listening to the pod since day one and genuinely look forward to it every Thursday. Thank you, Matt. For on the record, he would like one per festival. So he's went with Alcest, Protection, great choice. 2000 Trees, Turnover, Humming. Now he says, amazing indie dream pop, post-pop, punky band that played Trees last year, an Outbreak, and our favourite, and a band I think Art Tangent fans might like. My husband and I walked down the aisle with this tune. Brilliant. So, Turnover, Humming, Alcest, Protection, and then the one that he seemed most excited about was Midnight Jazz Club, Crystalline, post-prog metal band from Newcastle with shifting time signatures, supported bands local like 100 Euro Man, June, Shiloh, Black Alpha. Hard working, genuinely nice lads. I'd really love for more people to hear about these guys. Those three bands added to on the record, Matt. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the kind words. Andrew Chilcraft doesn't drink, so he asked, could we buy him dinner at Art Tangent? Yes, I will buy you dinner at Art Tangent. A Bunny Chow is on me. And when I say on me, I will use the Two Promoters One pod bank card on us. And technically on yous because you've paid for the money that's in that account. So yes, I will buy you a Bunny Chow or macaroni or whatever you fancy at Art Tangent. Just catch up with me. And the final pick is one that would be from this week. Dan Morgan, who has been with us since day one. He pays like a tenner a month. He went from Ko-fi to the Patreon. I think he now pays direct into our bank account because he doesn't want the couple of quid taken by Patreon and doesn't want to pay the VAT. So, hero. If anyone else wants to do that, I mean, I'm not going through this whole dance of changing everyone from asking people to go to Ko-fi, then go to Patreon, and then say, oh, please just pay into our bank account. But if you want to do that, if you want to save yourself the VAT that Patreon take and we get the full whatever it is you get, you pay, then you can do that. I can give you the bank details and just pay into the business account. So Dan Morgan has been selected by me because he wants something that we are going to provide, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the reason people should subscribe is partly so that you can get this cool stuff if you get picked out of Gav's jar, but actually it's genuinely helpful to us to have this support. We get, a little bit of money each month to keep the pod sort of running, pay for the various fucking things we've got going on in the background. Not least of all, allows us to pay Bri, who edits and gets together all the episodes and the artwork and stuff. The prizes are cool. You'll get first choice or first go at tickets for our next tour. There's an Xmas show coming that we're going to announce soon. But it genuinely makes a difference to us, and it keeps it all fucking running. So we love people that help us. There's a few hundred of you now. Yeah, what's the minimum? £5 a month?
I think it's £4. I think you could, if you go to Ko-fi, you can make it a quid if you want, or if you pay direct into the bank account, you make it whatever you want. I think that the way Patreon's set up as tiers, and I think £4 a pound an episode basically is the lowest tier. So it goes a long way, especially the Bryce situation. I mean, he gets a third of it, so every time Mo gets paid in, his third increases as well. I mean, that is the best bit. Is like, cause for what he does, we sit here and take the flack and take the glory, but ultimately without Bri, it goes nowhere. It really probably is just a Zoom call that gets uploaded to the internet and looks like shit. So, Bri is the main focus in it. So, if you can donate, it would be fucking class.
Yeah, so go to patreon.com/2promoters1pod, and we massively appreciate it. So, this week's episode, it's kind of like, I don't know what we're going to call it, but there's a lot of, it's like us, there's a lot of reaction this week to what's gone on social media. There's various different things happening. I mean, do you want to talk through the episode plan, or just go weekly waffle time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll call it, it's either Two Promoters versus Sugar Horse or Two Old Men versus Sugar Horse is what we'll call it. And yeah, as a reaction to the week that has been, and more specific, the clash that we have with Sugar Horse at Art Tangent that prompted a cracking joke, and then it kind of split off to getting a wee bit spiteful at points. Not from Sugar Horse, but we'll get into that topic. So that's that. There's plenty of other bits and bobs that have happened in the last week. So let's go weekly waffle. Start with yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought the contrasting reactions on social media to stuff that I did this week were hilarious. I mean, having come off the back of sort of months of staring at bad, scary shit about kneecap on socials, it was like kind of all flipped to ATG. And that elephant stage announcement was a big thing for us. We really talked and thought a lot about it, and how we would do it. And we were all, particularly me, quite nervous. And it really warmed my heart that people really appreciated the honesty, I think. And I didn't see one negative comment. And a lot of people were just like, yeah, life's better with only 2 stages classing instead of 3. So that felt really good, really nice. And weirdly, we'd gone into that week thinking that was the bad news, but it turns out that wasn't the bad news. That was the good news. And then the next day we released the ATG Clashfinder, and the sort of the moaning commenced. There was
just before you go into the Clashfinder bit, so if I can get a reaction to the elephant stage being ditched as well, it was it was really classy. And I tell you, to all promoters or anyone in any walk fucking into the industry, the difference of transparency to just try to blindside fans, there is your exhibit A. James took up a section of this podcast, put it out to people that don't listen to this podcast, as well as those who do, and explained the reasoning in depth. And when a ticket buyer, a consumer, a customer, however the way you want to look at it, a fan, is explained, you're like, look, this could cause danger to the product in future if we continue to go down this reckless route of spending more than we actually have and putting the business in danger. And this is the sacrifice we need to make this year. And we hope you understand. To a person, every comment I read either completely understood and agreed or weren't fussed one way or the other. They were like, okay, good, whatever it takes to keep Art Danger going. If you'd done that exact same move and you just left that silently in the background, but the band never appeared in the poster, and then suddenly you showed up and there was no, you'd have ate shit for a year about it, like try to con the fans into buying, like you're getting more bands. Don't do that. Just fucking explain to people. Just explain to people the reasoning, and to a person, everybody was decent.
Yeah, they were. You're right, and thanks for saying that. I mean, and I agree with all of that, and I think that's the brilliant thing for us about this podcast. And to be fair, credit to you, because that's sort of one of the ways you sold it to me. Like, do the podcast because you can talk to your audience better. So yeah, it's good.
And then the clashes.
So people were calling it the most brutal Clashfinder ever, and someone said that James should go and stand in the naughty corner. So there was people quite excited, and not least as you said last week about We Lost the Sea versus Between the Buried and Me. So obviously we talked about that last week, and basically, in short, it's because they're very long sets, 65-minute sets, which no bands get 65-minute sets apart from the headliners at ATG. So that's why they clash. I thought it was worth noting that you do have to. Well, the one thing we didn't talk about last week, and I don't think we've ever really talked about, is you do have to have clashes. Otherwise, you can't get everyone in the tent. So if Between the Buried and Me played on their own in Yokai, which is like 3,500 capacity, and there's 10,000 people on site, how does that work? It only works if there's another stage for them to go to. I mean, even then, the Yokai and Bixler doesn't really add up to the capacity of the entire crowd, because some people are at the campsite, some people are getting food, whatever. But you know, even Glastonbury do this. They intentionally clash people. If you've got things you're worried about capacity, maybe some really exciting set like Kneecap or Charlie XCX or whatever, it's a clash can help you because it can stop crazy crowd cramming. So yeah, that was one. There's 4 others that I just wanted to quickly talk about. A lot of people were worried about Mew versus Vower, which is kind of nice for Vower. They've come up quite a lot since last year, and people really want to see them. I think that both those sets will be busy. There's no overlap between those bands. The next one, there is overlap. Now, this is the one that I kind of thought I wanted to change, but I couldn't find a way. Is Callous Boys versus Burner. There is some overlap, They're both in some ways heavy, in some ways fast. They're not. It's not the same genre of music, but I'd already noted this, and a couple of people that I sort of get advice from had told me about this clash. But every time I changed something, it made a new clash. I was just getting myself in a right mess. And there's some bands you can't move. I couldn't really move Clashfinder Boys, so I could only move Burner around, and I just couldn't find the band to swap them with that didn't create loads of new fucking problems. So that one isn't going. Maybe She Will versus Frontiera. A lot of people were upset about. I was surprised that you weren't.
Just two popular art tangent acts.
Yeah,
it's that's the. I mean, you could not get two styles of music that were more contrasting, but just two very popular art tangent acts.
Yeah, and the last one is Carnival versus Ghost, which again is you couldn't get two more different bands. You've got like this some sort of synthwave fucking dance off thing going on, and Carnival's prog metal. They're just so far apart. It's cool that people want to see both, but. Yeah. So, although there was a lot of excitable people, I feel like I can kind of justify all the clashes, or at least be like, well, most of them are stage headliners. The stage headliners will clash. At least we're not like Slam Dunk, where you've got 4 bands on at the same time. It's, it's 2 bands. You can half and half it if you have to.
Yeah. I mean, the Colours and Departure songs one was the one that I'd identified. Then you explained it and I was a bit like, okay. And then I thought about it as well. It's like you're clashing 2 bands. When you go to that weekend as well, there is never a situation where you would definitely always get a chance to see Between the Buried and Me and We Lost the Sea over the course of the weekend, because both those bands played. So it's a good clash in the sense that you can, if you go to any other festival and Between the Buried and Me are clashing with We Lost the Sea and only playing once over the weekend, you need to make the choice that you're not going to see one band. But at least with this, you can say, I'm going to catch Departure songs and then I'm going to get Between the Buried and Me's Greatest Hits festival set, or vice versa. So there was a bit like, okay, I understand the 65 minutes, I understand the album sets, and I understand that it's also because you can catch both those bands over the course of the weekend, which is quite a unique situation. But it was still, people are, including We Lost the Sea, because We Lost the Sea are definitely engaging in the community of like, oh, we want to see Colours too and all that kind of stuff.
Well, even the agent got in contact with me, and the We Lost the Sea agent, and was like, can they do Departure songs on Thursday? I'm like, no, because it's 65 minutes long. I just can't do it. Can't make it work. I've had a few bands get in contact. Can we play for 5 minutes longer? No. It's the time. There's this many hours in a day basically. Next thing you know, we'll be starting music at 9 a.m. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, the one thing I noticed, there was a couple, especially with the Departure songs and the Colours sets. It's like, I get it. Not everyone wants to listen to a podcast, especially not everyone wants to listen to a podcast where you and I are the two talking about it. But see, if you're relentlessly going to be posting online I want an explanation why this is, and you can't be asked to go and listen to the one that gives the explanation, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's like the explanation's there, but you want it fucking written down in every. It's like it's here. Normally you wouldn't get that at all from the organiser of the festival. You've taken the time to come and do this. You skip forward to the bit you want to hear, listen to James for 20 minutes, skip back off and never come back. But see, that's demanding an explanation 6 times across different pages and forums when it's already been provided. I'm like, just fucking get it by.
Yeah, quite. So the only other thing I've done this week was a genuine. This is a bit cheesy. It was a genuine career highlight for me. What is the best bit of press I've ever done, which is to go on the Kerrang podcast. Now, people might laugh at that, but I've been reading Kerrang since I was, I don't know, like 11 or something. I read it for about 20 years until they stopped printing it. I had it every week. Used to get it delivered or make my parents drive me into the local town to get it. I've been like all over Kerrang, reading it just forever. That's where I got all my music from in the early days. So it was a pretty like pinch me moment. So it was quite cool to go on there for an hour. It was the first time they've had. They only interview musicians, so I was basically the first person who wasn't a musician. So that felt nice. It was also the first time I've done an interview about Kneecap. So I was scared. They told me before the interview, we can't not ask about Kneecap. So I was like, okay. So I had to really think about what I was going to say on that, because this feels a very controlled, safe space to talk about kneecap. Because if I'd said something I didn't want to say, we could cut it out. We haven't ever cut out anything, but we could. So that was good. It was an experience to talk about.
Yeah, you handled well. I went, this is all because we were so excited about, I'm going to go into a podcast that's so much smaller than my own. It's a bit like, can I? It's like, fucking hell. You're the host of a bigger podcast, you know what I mean? It's like, I can't believe I'm going to go in Crangs. So
I knew this Gav reaction was coming.
So it was like, how did you get through an hour's conversation without plugging two promoters, one pod? It's like, you can tell why you're not involved in any of the marketing. You're doing, you're fucking terrible at it. Absolutely terrible at it. It was like, there was so many points where it felt more fitting to say, I've discussed this in my own podcast, whatever, but no, not a mention, not a fucking plug. I was like, fucking James through and through. The only guy that's involved runs 2,000 Trees, Art Tangent, and his podcast that doesn't mention.
Yeah, well, I think it was intentional from Kerrang not to mention it, probably. So.
I suppose, but I mean, not even that you're going to get any extra listeners from it, but just no dropping it. It's like, come on, James, you're better than that.
I fucking knew this was coming. And the last thing I'll say is that I had a lovely time entering the Mars Volta into the Kerrang Hall of Fame, which they do at the end of every episode of the podcast. That felt like a win for me, and I gave Sam Law a little dig for his shit review of the Mars Volta. So yeah, anyway, that was my week.
That was your week. Okay, well, good. Well, what did I had a bit of a musical week. It was not like a. I feel like I invested a lot in music this week. I will start I had the best and worst week. I will start with Turnstile, and in my original initial thoughts, which was it was the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I almost crashed the car with my daughter in it to stop it playing. I hated it that much. Now, I've revisited it since because I thought it can't possibly be that bad, and there's something about, I was like, circumstances. I was driving my daughter out to the hobby she does, and
horse riding,
and we were stuck in traffic, absolutely stuck in traffic. And the past couple of weeks now, anyone with teenage kids will tell you it's difficult to get a bond going because they're teenagers. You're not. You're the parent. They're the child. And my son, it was like for years, it was like a sort of, hi, Niall, how was school? I grunt, and I went up into his bedroom. And then he fell in love with Celtic, and I then ended up with this fucking cracking friendship with my son. So I'll be like trying to find a way to get that friendship built with my daughter, who's now 15 and a hormonal 15-year-old girl. And the last month or so, she's been right into her music, so she really loves The National, which is a good start. And then a couple of weeks ago, she goes, this band Radiohead, and I'm like, we're in. Let's talk about Radiohead and OK Computer. In the last few weeks, Phoebe Bridgers and Julian Baker. So I'm like, here we go. Wow. We're getting into 2,000 Trees territory now. This is great. And she's come down to Trees. So I'm like, I'm going to play this playlist for the Trees bands, and we'll go down there, and hopefully she'll fall in love with a few of these bands as well, and the festival. So she's in the car. I'm like, okay, well, let's try Turnstile, which was the biggest mistake because she hated it more than I did. She was like, this is not even like the music you'd normally listen to. And it was so, on first listen, lazy, uninspired, unoriginal, uninteresting. It was just like, it sounded like all the B-sides from, somebody posted all the B-sides from the Great Glow On album. I would have said all the stuff that they just left on the floor. After that, they'll just piece together and put an album. And then by the end of it, because I said, look, Cadence, we need to see it through because I need to make more effort to listen to these fucking bands. And I saw it, by the end, it was this tune, Magic Man, and it's just unlistenable. I mean, like 2 or 3 minutes of Magic Man, like you're just droning into your fucking ears. It was the worst, right? So Cadence was like, couldn't get the car quick enough. Never play that music to me again, Dad. You've embarrassed yourself. You've embarrassed the family. It's a disgrace. So I was like, okay, and I went back. But then I realised when I went on to the forum, like my good friend Graham Johnston, who will be doing a charity 24-hour run while listening to this, and probably fucking livid at the moment, he posted it was like his album of the year. And then another couple of people going, it was pretty pish, but it's okay. It's listenable. And the guy, Andy Cattigan, I'll go on to in a wee while with another great recommendation, says, it's quite enjoyable. I'm like, nah, I mean, I can't say it's like the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And other people that I don't really trust Graham, to be fair, or G, but I definitely trust Andy. And I'm like, how have I missed this off? So yesterday I went back to it. And to be fair, it's just uninteresting. It's okay. It does sound like the bits that never made Glow On. Apparently, they had another guitarist and they ditched him before this record. I don't know if they ditched him, he went away with the riffs and they just got left with what was left for Glow On. It is now just unremarkable, but it was okay. I was definitely in that situation. I've been embarrassed in front of my daughter, the traffic jam, and hearing it for the first time. But I still get some tunes in it. I think it was a chap called Ceiling or something. Where he sounds like a bit like a chipmunk, the singer, and but then he uses like some sort of vocal thing to sound more like he's in a tin of Pepsi Max, and it's just, this is me trying to say I actually found it was okay, but I'm still going back to where it was originally. It was it was a tough listen. I think by the third listen I'd warmed to it slightly. It's not my style. I am not the guy who wants to come on and bash bands. I mean, I'll have a laugh at power metal and I'll have a laugh about Disturbed, but like the reason I've never heard Metallica's 72 Seasons, the reason I've never heard Sleep Token's last two records is because I know I'm not interested, so I don't want to listen to them just so I can go on the internet and be like Mr. Edgy. Oh, I don't like the latest Metallica album. I'm like, I'm not interested, so I just don't listen. And I kind of felt that way possibly about Turnstile, but I've been making a bigger effort for you in this podcast to listen to more new music, and that's my take on Turnstile. Anything you like to add to that?
Wow. Well, I thought you were going to say you'd bought a second pony for a second then, but you actually said you put the Turnstile album on to connect with your daughter.
That's how I'm going to sum it up, right? It's perfect music for a fashion show. It's music for you've got some banger walking down the stage in Paris in a Balenciaga shopping bag for $8,000. Turnstile's new album playing in the background. Perfect.
Listeners will note he's not taking me on the pony chat. Okay, so back to Turnstile. Look, I'm not here to do the case for the defence or the prosecution, really. I think, it's only been out a few days. I think at times it's excellent, but it's hard to shake the feeling that you're listening to an album that you've already heard, made by Turnstile previously. I think it's definitely not shit. It's probably not world-beatingly great either. I'm on the fence. I do need more listens. I think my favourite song is called I Care. It's the third song on the album. I think it's got a fucking brilliant chorus. The one thing I do, there's a few people having a go at them because they sound like Turnstile, and which I think is a slightly unfair because they've created their own sound. I wouldn't be able to tell you who Turnstile sound like because they sound like Turnstile. So the fact that their new album
sounds like Wham. But you ever listen to the band Wham?
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, well, he's not as good a singer as George Michael, but the fact that they sound like themselves is cool. And there's some fucking the best bands in the world, like Deftones, have their own sound that no one else can copy. And I think Turnstile have got that. I do think this album is potentially a bit boring and a bit meh. But I'm giving it more chances. When it's good, I'm really into it, and it's so fucking summery. So we'll see. It's definitely not going to be my album of the year.
Okay. It's not cracking that top 10 anyway.
No chance. I do detect a weird change in the music industry. Everyone went, because I talked to quite a few people that work in press or booking agents or promoters or whatever about music, because that's what I like to talk about. And I detect this weird change with Turnstile, that they've gone from everyone being like, yeah, they're the next great hope for rock music, to everyone being a bit like, it's the classic British thing of build the footballer up and then knock him down. We love David Beckham. No, he's the worst person in the universe. And it feels a bit like that might be happening with Turnstile, which feels a bit unfair.
Yeah, and on the record, to be fair, I have never built them up. I did enjoy Glow On, but I was not on the bandwagon with it. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to modern hardcore, if that's what you call it. So I'm not building on. In fact, I feel like it's one of those ones where if you feel fine, like having a go, because they're just so fucking supersonic. So, I mean, they're just as big as they are now, aren't they? I mean, by tomorrow they're headlining a festival in London. So Aye, dishwasher music. Dishwater. Dirty dishwater. That's it. Fucking absolutely unremarkable. Sorry to tell you. But I mean, I feel good. Let's see what attack is in the comments, motherfuckers. But what made this? It was a contrast it because so I'm going to. We've got a Skull Munchers chat that are all metal fans that I go to gigs and listen to music with. And I went on that chat in the drive home and I said, listen, I just listened to that Turnstile record and I want to crash a car. It's fucking awful. And again, the guy Andy Cadigan says, switch that off, put on this band, Dimscûa, right? D-I-M-S-K... Fuck, Gav, try again. I feel like last week. D-I-M-S-C-U with a wee hat in it. A. Dimscûa. Okay, if that's not how you pronounce it, let me know if you're listening. My God, the best post-metal I have heard in years. In years. I mean, I can't believe what I've discovered Overhead the Albatross in the post-rock world and then this band in the post-metal world in the same spell of a few months. Unbelievable. I mean, like, from the opening track, if you're an Amon Ra fan, and I don't want to be lazy with the comparisons, but that is the most... These guys definitely listen to Amon Ra. If you're an Amon Ra fan, you cannot dislike this band. It's so fucking good. It's unbelievable.
Is it a 2025 album? Please say yes.
Yes. It came out in June the 5th.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm fucking in for that. Let's have a go.
Well, this is my next big song with Dimscûa, right? Okay. I mean, guaranteed they're Russian or Ukrainian into either no be able to book them or no be able to book them. So, Eastern European, most likely. I'm like, this fucking, honest to God, it's like this unbelievable Amon Ra style post-metal. The vocals are a bit more visceral, emotionally a bit more charged. It goes into areas of sludge, doom, and then black metal in the way like a tune like, I don't know, The Sun's Journey Through the Night. There's a track on the playlist from The Sun's Journey Through the Night, I think it's Might Be Hopeless, and there's a bit in it like when the vocals hit at the same time as the post-metal. I mean, I was fucking stunned. Within one track, I was like, this is utterly incredible. The best. I am going to say right now, I've now listened to this album 15 times in the last 4 days. The best extreme music to come out of the UK in 2025. That's how fucking... The reason I'm saying that is because they're not from Russia or Ukraine. They're from Berkshire. Whatever the fuck Berkshire is. So now the race is on, James. Who gets to book them first?
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to put that on straight after we come off here.
I'm all in this band the way that you can't buy me for PR, right? But when I'm behind you, I'm behind you. So I felt like if you're We Lost to See, Julie Christmas, Maybe She Will, Dinner Celestial Birds, Meryl Streak, Overhead the Albatross, I am behind you. And now I am behind Dimscûa. And I'm all in. This fucking four tracks, 32 minutes. I don't know if they call it an EP. I don't know how you can get a Nails album at 17 minutes and then get a Dimscûa EP that's 32 minutes. It's a fucking album. It's going to make the top 10 this year anyway. Check these guys out. Stop doing what you're doing. Switch my voice off. Go and listen to Dimscûa. They're not an easy band to find anywhere, but on Spotify, their album is called, I think, Dust Eater. Dust Eater. And the first track, Elder Burn. Fuck me, man. Go and listen right now. Change your life. Change their life.
Great. Good sell. I like it. What else you had? What else you got going on?
And I got a vinyl package, which I wasn't expecting, because we've got the Pelagic one that we get from, obviously, Pelagic each month, and that's not due. So a vinyl package, I was like, fuck, I don't even remember giving anybody my address for this. And it was the hero, Ed Gibbs, of Devil Soul the Soul. Ed Gibb, no S, Ed Gibb. And 2 of the latest Devil Soul the Soul records, a Cops record, and a note that basically said, thanks for the support for the podcast. From the podcast, we don't have the pressings of Darkness Prevails and A Fragile Hope yet. Hope you enjoy these ones. And then his other record, looking forward to being back at Damnation, which is not public information, and he shouldn't have written in that note. So,
is that an announcement? Was that a little cheeky announcement?
Not at all. I'm just joking. So, aye, fantastic. And a wee aside about Cops, however you pronounce them. I was at Art Tangent last year, the year before, and I'm in this tent watching this band. Like, these guys are fucking incredible, absolutely brilliant band. But my whole time I kind of scratch the itch that the singer reminds me of Ed Gibb. Like, I'm like that fucking guy just reminds me of, like, and I said, so I'm away, watch the full set, brilliant set, really enjoyed it. And then later I'm telling someone at the campsite, did you catch the band Cops? Earlier, Cops. Aye, brilliant. I said, fucking singer. I could not get my head at the whole time that was Ed Gibb. He goes, it was. Fucking at this point, I thought he'd disappeared from the music industry. Never mind, was back with Devil Sold His Soul. So, aye, that was
I didn't know that.
Did you? There you go.
I knew that. Weird.
Well, that makes both of us. Aye, Ed Gibb is.
Was he a temporary singer, or he is the singer?
Yeah, I believe he is. I know that I would pretend to know that much about it, but he is the singer.
Wow. So
there you go, another one to go on the list. So, aye, it's been a roller coaster musical week, and aye, I'm actually at the stage with this Dimscûa that I don't want to burn out. That I don't want to listen to the album 40 times in the first week and then be a bit like, oh, I'm a bit numb to it. It's been out since June the 5th. This isn't even one of these ones where I mean, like an overhead albatross, they've been kicking about for fucking 4 or 5 years before I stumbled into them. That's like, these guys have been kicking about for a week. So let's be on the hype train from day one, people. Let's go.
Okay. I mean, this is the dream for a post-metal band, for you to be saying you're going to book them and then selling them to me. If you're a UK post-metal band, there's only 2 festivals you can play. And these are the 2.
So that is that. Aye.
Yeah, are you going to talk to us about Burzum? Oh,
in what context,
there
James?
was a big sigh there, big Gav sigh.
In what context, James?
In the context of last week on the podcast, we talked about Fortress Festival and the large amounts of Burzum t-shirts that you saw, and then you took not loads, but a little bit of shit from people on social media and elsewhere, I think. Yeah. Do you want to? I mean, I'll address it. I tell you what, it's 20 years I've been doing Damnation. I'm pretty numb to. You can say to me online. I mean, I don't suppose anybody says to your face anyway, but you can say to me online, like, the latest Damnation lineup's a bit shit, and it really is water off a duck's back. I'm completely numb to it, and I understand that even that it's part of the business, but aye, this was. I was surprised by just how sensitive I was to these comments. I think there's still a wee bit in the McGlass situation hangover with me that we've talked about previously, and Gav being a racist, Gav being a Nazi, that's still there that I wasn't quite aware of. So anyone who hasn't listened to last week's pod, I went to Fortress Festival, I had a great old time, and while I was there, there was people in t-shirts that you normally wouldn't see at an event like Damnation or Art Tangent, and if you did see them at there, you would hear a lot about them. So I made that point from a promoter's point of view, that I saw Burzum t-shirts, and t-shirts of bands I didn't even know of, that people there were saying, oh, that's Goatman, and that's now the charge levelled at me firstly was I was being flippant about it, and it was hilarious to me. I just couldn't get enough of the shits and giggles that people, I mean, to the level like that I don't care about racism. It's nothing to me. I'm a cis male fucking middle-aged straight man, so I can just laugh it off and it's not my problem. Which wasn't the case. I mean, if you go, I went back and listened to it to be like, is that how it came across? One of the bits where I was joking and laughing was made that Burzum's a safe space. That in itself is a joke, and it's how you like when you get into a place and you've got Inquisition or Satanic Warmaster t-shirts. I made the joke that Burzum is the safe space, and that's what I'm laughing at. Secondly, when I was talking about the Goatman band, and I was saying the guy's got to fuck his dick out in front of a swastika, I was laughing at the absurdity of it. I wasn't laughing like, oh, you know it'd be really funny, James, me and you ran into a fucking room with our dicks out in front of a swastika. So people really took that out of context, skewed it, and that me being also flippant about it, which was a bit like, it was a wee bit of a punch in the gut, to be honest, with a couple of comments. I mean, I try to keep it in context. I was talking to my wife about this. 10,000 people listening to an episode, and you see two comments of people basically like, oh, Gav laughing about racism isn't on. It's like, you need to keep that in context. But at the same time, I defended myself with one of the guys in our group. I spotted another one at Tangent. I was just like, this is unbearable. I just don't have the time for these people at all. This whole, back to the whole me fucking defending my, like, that I'm not an answer on my views and stuff. And I was like, you know what? You bring on yourself a wee bit as well, Gav. You've went down to that.
and I was so fucking naive because when I came back, I'm like, when I go on the podcast, I'm going to talk about the fact that you see these t-shirts because it's a talking point. I don't know how many people are going to review that festival and not mention it. And in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be chased by the people at that festival. I'm going to be chased by like, you've came down all the way to this festival and you've had a great time, and your only takeaway from it is you're mentioning the Bosom t-shirts, you're mentioning the Standing War Mask t-shirts. I mean, you don't need to be such, that's a dick move, Gav. It's like, you don't need to be, you need to be a cunt about it for. At the end of the day, if you're going to come to these festivals, you're going to get a wee bit of that, and you don't need to make it a highlight. It was a great time, it was a great, well-run festival, and you've made it about those t-shirts. That's not right. But obviously that never happened. There was nothing for that side. People were like, well, okay, that was what happened. Gav just said that as he saw it. I got it for the other side, people going, you didn't take that seriously enough. You weren't offended. And I was, well, I wasn't offended though. And they're like, oh, you weren't intimidated? I mean, there's nothing less intimidating to me than 100 people in a room wearing Satanic War Master t-shirts. You see, get the meme about the man versus gorilla. One gorilla versus 100 man. I think I could fight 100 Satanic War Master fans. I mean, maybe not all at the same time, but definitely in a row. So it's a bit like, I'm not like, it isn't intimidating. So then the next point is, well, you should be offended on other people's behalf. And they're like, okay, that's a bit high. It's difficult to be offended on other people's behalf. I didn't see anyone who was offended. One thing that I led myself into a trap was I was overcompensating, making the point about the t-shirts by saying about how friendly and wonderful the crowd was. I didn't mean the people in the t-shirts. I never spoke to someone that was wearing a Bosom t-shirt. I didn't speak to someone wearing a Satanic War Master t-shirt and they were lovely and giving me kisses and cuddles and saying how fucking great. I didn't speak to anyone in a sketchy t-shirt at all. But I think when I was describing it, that's how it came across. That I was just running up the hallway high-fiving people in fucking sketchy band t-shirts and they were all being lovely because I'm a white middle-aged fucking straight man. And no, that wasn't. And if that's the bit you got for it, I didn't mean it like that. What I meant is it was a good crowd, and maybe I was mixing that conversation up with other conversation. There was people in these t-shirts that we wouldn't have had. So I've been playing in my mind a bit. The whole lot. I was kind of a bit tired of it. I mean, these people are tough work, and they're properly fucking. If you're not with them 100% in exactly their viewpoint, exactly how they feel it, then you're in the wrong. And it's just, I need to take a wee step back for something. Like I did in the other comment I saw. I'm just not engaging with this. It's fucking, because you're never. They'll just move the goalposts. If you say I'm not offended, they'll say you should be offended in that other person's behalf. I'm like, but I don't even know how to get there. And then they'll move the goalposts further along, and you'll never get to. Next thing you're just entangled in a Gav's a fucking Nazi again. So, aye. I was kind of, you had it in your notes, you skipped over it, and I was like quite happy not to speak about this now. And then you're like, I read it. We're not moving on until this has been addressed.
Well, I just think it's interesting behind the scenes content in a way, and like just another reminder that we're humans. And you know, we talk for an hour and a half every week, and like if you're getting picked up on everything you say is quite challenging at times because you're just trying to be yourself and just talk. I mean, yeah, and that's quite a emotive issue for people, I think. And actually, I felt a bit weird about it when those people were criticising, because it's kind of off the back of all the kneecap stuff and me being criticised outside the school gates for not doing enough to talk about anti-Semitism, and then you've got a guy in a Burzum t-shirt, and it all seems to be a bit horribly linked because of fascists. And I don't know. I just don't want to be the world's moral compass. So whilst I'm unlikely to want to have a chat with you if you're wearing a Burzum t-shirt. I'm not going around festivals fucking picking people out of the crowd and getting rid of them for doing it. And I don't know. And I don't want to fucking talk about fucking politics in public.
I mean, I know, like, I know the talk, but I know, like, what you, because you need to think, like, Gavin, because I try not to just dismiss someone else's comments. I try to think about it from their viewpoint. I already know. You go up the road. There's two choices to do the smart move into coming onto the podcast. Don't mention it at all, like everyone else. Just pretend it's not happening, or mention it and then follow up with how abhorrent it is and how offended I am, and everyone needs to take a good look at themselves and how could you attend this thing. It's not how I feel. So in the sense of that's not what happened. So if 1,700 people or whatever they're at, and pretending that that's how everyone's felt. So just going to come up and be honest about what I saw and my reaction to it, other people's reaction. But again, that's not going to be enough. So I do have the choice just to come up and shut up a bit. But if I'm going to do this podcast, what the fuck's the point if I'm not just going to come on and give you my honest opinion on what's it? And again, it was from a promoter's point of view. I made the point about you've got a battle jacket at Tangent and you've got a patch on it that can be deemed as sketchy. It's an issue for you and I. It's an issue we're going to hear about. It's an issue we're going to be asked to talk about. So when I was there, I was doing it from a promoter's point of view. I wasn't even doing it from a fan's point of view. A lot of these fucking band teasers, I have no idea who they are. I don't know any of these bands. I've never heard any of these bands. So, it was a between that happening at the same time, then a Sugar Horse joke that kind of gets skewed by fucking virgins as well, and that went in its direction. And two of them at the same time, I was just about like, fuck man, it's genuinely the first time, and we haven't spoken about this, that I was like, I could do a break for the podcast. Like I could do a few weeks just away from it, because it is perfect. It's not about Damnation. It's about Gavin McInally. And the only reason you know Gavin McInally exists is because I'm here. So then a bit like again, as Kelly says, the podcast keeps getting, my wife Kelly, the podcast keeps getting more successful. You're going to have people that fucking hate you, Gavin. There's going to have people that are coming after you. Like, are you true? Like everything in life. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm too sensitive for that, and I just thought I wasn't.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm much more sensitive to social media than you are normally, and this is just bit you a bit this week, and it's hard. It's fucking weird, isn't it? It's weird doing a podcast because you're just out there, just chatting away, don't know what anyone's saying about you until they say something about you online, and so I mean I guess that kind of moves us nicely on to what happened with Sugar Horse this week.
Would you like to set the table with what happened with Sugar Horse?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is classic. You're going to pick a fight with a band, and I'm going to introduce it like it was my idea. So just after last week's podcast, Sugar Horse, a band that are playing Arctangent and have also played Damnation and Trees in the past. They said, on Saturday at Arctangent, you have three options. 1, stay in bed and wallow in the come down. 2, watch two old men talk about how little they paid us to play their festivals. 3, watch us, National Treasures, International Playboys, Heroes of the Revolution, demolish the main stage. So that was what they said. I mean, they forgot to mention they're also old bastards, of course. I just thought that was worth pointing out. And then the internet had a few things to say about that. And it got right up your nose, I think it's fair to say. So do you want to talk us
because
through it?
The initial thing I think was missed about the joke, and it is a joke, is the humour. Like, so Sugar Horse, this is their brand. This is I think their name on their tag on Instagram is Sugar Horse on Awful or Sugar Horse on Atrocious. This is their style. So when they done it, I loved it. And then if you don't use Instagram, you can collab a post, which means the other person posts it to their page too, which I was like, I'm all in that. I love that level of humour between bands and promoters and agents. I wish there was more of it. If you see me on social media where We Lost the Sea, 90% of it is We Lost the Sea ribbing me or me ribbing We Lost the Sea, despite the fact that I absolutely love it, man. Conjurer, again, it's like they have got a good sense of humour. It's usually Brady on their socials. You can have a good laugh, and I enjoyed that a lot. So when I saw this, I was like, great, I get the joke, I'm in on the joke, and I'll play my part, so I'll share it. And then I was going, it's the old bit that stings the most, and it in the most part, people kind of like, I get it. But then the internet being the internet, it quickly descended to some people to be like, who do these two arrogant cunts think they are? Like, putting themselves up against the music, and they really like us trying to showcase ourselves at a time when bands were playing. And then some of the comments that I spotted were the nippy reaction. So we'll see how they feel when everyone walks out halfway through their set. James has it in for Sugar Horse, clashed him in Converge, and now he's clashed him himself. At least it's not a real clash. I mean, shit like that was a bit like, the jokes went over your head now, and now it's a case of, and you can't defend yourself. Like, it's not like we can go in there and say, No one sells more tickets in any of those slots than we do. Because you're going to come across like a total cunt. You can't come and say, if our agent had their way and it wasn't James's festival, Sugar Horse would be looking up at our logo. It wouldn't be vice versa. Know what I mean? It's like you can't, because then you're just going to fucking dig into the hole of being an arrogant cunt, even though it's true. So you're just like, the joke's gone. Now it's just nippy people going, oh well, you fucked this. Who's going to? I just, even people who are very supportive of the pod, who's going to watch a podcast where music's playing? I'm like, do you know how many fucking things people doing with wank? Sleep, eat, fucking shit. I mean, not like, do you know even when both us are on and Sugar Horse are on at the same time, 90% of the festival's going to be elsewhere.
Do you think there'll be a few people wanking at that time?
There's going to be 90% of people just be wanking in their tents. So it's like, I mean, as I say, maybe I'm having a sensitive week, and it was just one of those ones where like the joke was missed, and it just became a bit of a, not a pile-on as such, but just like at that point, like, I will say how funny I think they are when people are walking out in the middle of the show and that. And I was like, what a weird take. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, somebody was going to clash with somebody. It just so happens. I mean, like, and if you listen to the podcast, you also know the circumstances. We would happily have done the 10 to 11 slot in the Elephant in the Bar stage if there was a fucking Elephant in the Bar stage.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help thinking Ashley Tubb, from the lead singer of Sugar Horse, is fucking rolling around on his carpet, pissing himself right now.
Look where you fucking look where you started, you bastard. The end of the podcast was you and your fucking meme.
He dangled his little fishing rod in the water, and we've had a little bite at it. I mean, look, my job is to book stuff that people want to see at the festival, and I count our podcast on that. I think I would know if people didn't want to see it, because there'd have been no one watching it last year. So that's not being arrogant, it's just the reality. I was trying to make it so that we and the audience didn't have to get out of bed at fucking 9 a.m. or whatever to go and do it. But anyway, so be it. We'll fucking end up getting up and fucking early and doing it, I guess.
Yes. I mean, for anyone who missed last week's pod, we would have been in the Elephant in the Bar stage. That would have been the original plan. When you said we're going to do the pod, we weren't clashing with any music. So what made you decide to stick with the Clash and then for it to be Sugar Horse? Because there was a few comments, like, you could see why people, again, not getting it, Sugar Horse, weren't crying in the corner. They were laughing at our expense. They were like, oh, well, how would you feel if you were Sugar Horse and the guy who runs the festival clashed himself against you? Like, there was going to be some offence taken by Sugar Horse.
I mean, at the end of the day, I wanted us to do this the Saturday, because the most interesting, the best thing that can happen at the live podcast at any of the festivals is you do it on the final day and you've got the most to talk about. You know, you lost OAPs backline, there was a fucking hurricane, whatever. Something's happened during the weekend that is funny to talk about or interesting to talk about. So going and doing it on Thursday doesn't make sense. So I always wanted to do it on Saturday. The Sugar Horse slot was just locked in already. So it felt like the only place to do it. I did actually think about putting us in the big... It's not like I haven't thought all this fucking stuff through. Like the Clashfinder, I pore over. I thought about putting us in Bixler stage, but that is next to the main stage where the headliner will be sound checking. And you probably can't have people talking in Bixler while the headliner's sound checking because you won't hear it. So we've got to be in PX3, and therefore you kind of need to clash with a band, and it just happens that band is Sugar Horse. I mean, they played Octangent a lot, so I am fine with it. Me personally. I wasn't too stressed about clashing with them. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of why they're opening the main stage, it was their agent James, who, as luck would have it, is our guest next week. So James Spence is the main man in Rolo Tomasi. He's also a booking agent. He's coming on the podcast next week. The slot was his idea. The opening the main stage is a prestigious thing to do at any festival. Very sought after. And it was his idea. And as soon as he had the idea, I was like, yeah, we can do that. He's the sort of person that when he asks me to do things, book things in certain places, I usually say yes. So, yeah. I mean, how did you feel about clashing with music? Was it
Not great, not great. I mean, I understand. I understand the 2000 G thing. I mean, it's a late afternoon slot. I mean, you're just going to clash with music at 2000 G's. We clashed with three good bands last year at 2000 G's. It was fine, wasn't mentioned. I mean, I know that there's scales. I mean, Employed to Serve are just a much bigger band. But I mean, there was no real. I mean, other than the fact that people saying, "Oh, I'd quite like to catch Employed to Serve," there wasn't the same level of. I mean, spite is. I mean, it wasn't like no one was going like, "Here's these guys thinking that they're bigger or better than Employed to Serve," or try to take fans away from Employed to Serve, or how do Employed to Serve feel that the guy who organises 2000 Trees. But I saw none of that. Absolutely none of that. This was. It seemed to be the whole fact like small Sugar Horse and a smaller upcoming band, and like you've got these two guys taking away some of their shine. Whether people like, you can pretend all day long that our tent's going to be empty or the tent's going to be full. It'll be what it'll be. It'll not be because we're clashing with Sugar Horse and no clashing with Sugar Horse. So I was a bit. I didn't like the look for us. Two people on here shouting about new music all the time. I checked on the record list. I put Sugar Horse on. I mean, I fucking love that band. I put them on the shouting Judas at Bob Dylan on the playlist. I didn't like the idea of clashing with them because I want to see them, and then I didn't like the idea of clashing them personally because it was a bit like I didn't want to take any shine away from their set. I mean, like it or not, there will be people, or would have been people that came to the podcast and missed Sugar Horse. It's the way it would be with any. I mean, you go into any small stage at any festival. Well, the biggest bands, Metallica, playing, there's still a small stage somewhere where people are watching who might otherwise went and see Metallica. So I didn't. I wasn't chuffed about it, but not to the point that I thought that people were going to think, oh, we were somehow trying to take any shine away from Sugar Horse. But it was from the moment I was told last week, I had it in my head about a way we could try and resolve it. I mean, I wanted it to be, why did we not start a bit earlier, finish a bit earlier, and not clash with Sugar Horse was my view. And I think I sent you a voice note, like there is a way we could probably get on this. I think an hour's too long for a festival set. We're not going to do the whole on the record bit and then the Q&A and all that jazz. So an hour's quite a long time when you don't have a structure to the set, and I thought 45 minutes was plenty. And then with the feedback that was coming back, we had the hero we had mentioned before, Dan Morgan. We'll go into that bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So his wish. So I've picked this guy out of the Jug of Joy this week, and his wish was, this is the worst clash of the weekend at the moment. Whoever gets pulled from the Jug of Joy needs to request a change, or I'll cash mine in now for it. So James, are you giving this man the absolute god level power of changing the Clashfinder?
Well, what people don't know is that Sugar Horse contacted me privately and asked me, they were begging me to change the clash. So that plus...
Hey, are you joking about that?
No.
you never told me that.
Well, I wanted you to find out here. So that plus Dan Morgan means that I have changed the clash, okay? There was lots of fans seem to want to watch both. And I get it, that a lot of people would rather watch a band than a podcast. I certainly would. So here's what's happening. We're now on from 10 to 10:50. I mean, we'll finish when we finish. We're starting at 10. We won't go later than 10:50. That leaves you 10 minutes to get to the main stage to watch Sugar Horse. We don't clash with anyone. So we've done this for the fans and for Ashley from Sugar Horse. So I want people to get up early and fucking watch us. I have also added a new band into the lineup who will clash with Sugar Horse. So there is going to be a 10-minute gap after us. So this has got a bit complicated, but there's going to be a 10-minute gap after our podcast, and another band will play. They've not been announced yet. They are confirmed. So I've basically had to contact my production team to say, you are going to sound check this band before the podcast. You're going to have them ready to go. Their stage will be set up. We'll put our banner in front of their drum kit, and you've got 10 minutes to rip us off stage and get them on stage. Make it happen.
Fucking hell, James.
So
I assumed that not only have we bent to the will of the people and Dan Morgan, But then Sugar Horse were getting a clash-free, the only clash-free set at the festival as well. And I was like, my God, this is the... But no, here you are, just filling in extra bands.
Well, what didn't really sit right with me is having a gap. And that was kind of one of the reasons I wanted us to clash with them, because obviously we could have always started a bit earlier. And because you can't really have a 10-minute changeover, it was just going to look like a gap. And then it just looks... It's worse than us clashing with them. It just looks like us big timing and being like, have a fucking gap. We're doing the podcast. Fuck you all. No band here. So I really, honestly, this week I've been agonising over how to just trying to work out the logistics of how I make anything happen. And I was very close to putting us in Victor stage. I just thought, if fucking Tesseract suddenly start like ragging the PA, we are going to be in trouble then. And you'd be sitting there and everyone would be like, can't hear you. This is shit. So there you go. That's the plan.
James, I do love it that I'm hearing all this for the first time here as well. Like, the tent moves and the times that, and I'm sitting here thinking that a plan's been made. You're like, Gavin, you have no power in this, mate. Shut up. You'll be told.
Well, you wanted me to move it. I've moved it. I mean, and everyone's happy, I think, now. There's a new band who they'd just come on my radar, and I'd noted them down the day before. I was like, fuck, I wish I had a slot left because I would book this band.
Is it Dimscûa?
No, but they're next on the radar by the sounds of it. So, other than the stage crew, the wonderful stage crew starting a little bit early, I think we're all good. What this proves about Clashfinders is there isn't a right answer. There are just lots of answers. And usually I just do my answer and everyone has to suck it up. And a couple of times this year I've bent to the will of the people. I guess the podcast has made it much more a thing. I'd have probably buried my head quietly in the sand.
Much more democratic. Can I give a case in point of just how no matter what you do, you're always putting somebody's nose out of drink? The person who had the last name pulled out, the super sub, the Jug of Joy, was Andrew Chilcraft, and Dan Morgan pleaded to Andrew Chilcraft for him to use his power to get the podcast moved to before Sugars, and he said he couldn't because he was going to park run and wouldn't be back until the podcast started. So it actually suited him. It suited him to clash with Sugars so he could come and see the podcast and not have to miss his park run. So he's listening to us now going, "You bastards!"
Fuck the park run, mate.
Fuck exactly. Fuck the answer. That's fuck the park run.
Wow, incredible. Okay, so there was also this question, right, from Stephen Edwards. Which basically said, on the ATG Clashfinder, Tane are playing a set at 7:30pm in the PX3 and Sugar Horse are playing at 11am on the main stage. Sugar Horse were supported by Tane in October in Bristol, promoted by Effigy. Is the weighting of an appearance on the main stage at 11am that much bigger than a quote-unquote better set time of 7:30pm with a 50% longer set on PX3? Potentially crowd numbers suggest yet, but a more lively crowd at 7:30pm suggests maybe not. Really interested to hear the thought process. Well, mostly I just put bands where I want to put them, right? So James, the agent, asked me to put Sugar Horse opening the main stage on Saturday, so I did. It never occurred to me to compare Tane and Sugar Horse. It still doesn't, actually. But the one thing I want to do is if a band's played the festival multiple times, I want to put them in a different place. Different time, different stage. So I just had a little look back. Sugar Horse have played 4 out of the last 5 years, which is fucking ironic given how much shit they're giving us. But they opened PX3 in 2019. They were the opening band. 2022, they were evening slot in the Elephant stage on the Wednesday. 2023, they headlined PX3 up against Converge. And now they're opening the main stage. So it's a nice... Why has that band played so much? Well, because I really like the band and they're from Bristol and I know them. And the crowd really like them. We get lots of requests for them. So they played a lot. It needs to be something different. And this is definitely something different. So, look, an evening slot is no doubt better for a band's enjoyment. Definitely. But is it better for their career? I don't know. Who the fuck knows? I think Sugar Horse will be able to say they've played main stage at Arctangent, which definitely will carry some weight with other festivals. I'm sure James will have it in their bio going forwards. And look, the main stage lineup on that Saturday is Sugar Horse, into A Swarm of the Sun, into Callistyle Boys, Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, Between the Buried and Me, Rella Tomasi, Clowncore, Tesseract. If I do say itself is a really fucking great main stage lineup, and lovely to be opening it, I think. I mean, and with regards to Tame, they're an electronic band, so you will rarely see me book an electronic band anywhere early in the day, because I just don't think it really works. I want the electronic bands to be later. If they're a bit more upbeat and like something you might be able to dance to a little bit, later is better. But really, I'm making the rules, and the rules change every time I book a band. You're like, right, I'm going to book Tame, where am I going to put them? I'm going to book Sugar Horse, where am I going to put them? You're not really following set things about this band is this size, this band is this size.
Yeah, and neither are. There's no formula to it. Basically, there's no formula to it. It's how the band feel about it. It's how the agent feels about it, the management, and then us as the promoters and where we can fit them in. So, for example, Nordic Giants are playing Damnation again this year. They're not going to open the main stage again. They're going to be, so you get a different experience. And in my head, I'm a bit like, if you're Nordic Giants or Warning or 40 Watts on these bands, that third stage is where you want people to go in there. Everyone knows exactly what's going on. They're there. Great sound, great atmosphere. Everyone, you're not getting people walking through having a slice of pizza and just sort of casually checking out. It's people who invest in it. That atmosphere is great. But then Nordic Giants are a band that tries, so they're opening the main stage, knowing that they're playing to maybe 50% of the audience. Never heard of them before. I mean, more people in the opening slot at Damnation. Let's say that stage takes 6,000. Let's say there's 2,500 to 3,000 in there for that opening slot as Nordic Giants play. The third stage full was 1,700. So you're already playing to twice the capacity. And 50% of those people are people that are not going to go and check you out if you're another stage, because they're just passing through. They don't know if you're a thrash band, death metal band, or a post-rock band, two guys dressed up in feathers with screens and videos. So that worked for them, but you can't go back and say, oh, let's just do the same slot again. And Nordic Giants would probably be the same, and their agent, Hayden, our agent, probably, okay, we need to do something different. You can't just go back and do the exact same slot. So it's a sliding scale. There's no formula to what is the better, anyone's fighting over it. I offered the band this year, who have yet to be announced, the opening slot on the Sunday, or sort of top half of the third stage, and they went for the top half of the third stage. That suited them. They wanted to be, I don't know, play a crowd that everyone who's going there is going there for them. The room will be full for them. It's not going to be, you're not going to see that whole people walking away in the distance or chatting or going to the bar for beers. You're going to be there to see that band, and it's going to be intense. So individual preference per bands, what's available, and then what I'm trying to do. I mean, Orbit Culture are a perfect example as well. I'm pretty sure I saw in the download lineup that they were due to play the fourth stage or the fifth stage, whatever the tent is, and now they're opening the main stage. Now, they've probably went from a 50-minute slot playing to people who know the Orbit Culture, who they are, to, I don't know, 4, 5, 6,000 people, to opening that main stage to maybe 25,000 people, and at least 20,000 of them not having a Scooby-Doo who they are. So that might be quite a muted crowd with wee pockets where people are going mental. But you also might get the potential of another 20,000 new fans who see you and think that was absolutely incredible. So sliding scales, different festivals, different vibes, what you're trying to do as a band. I think that all comes into play, but there's no clear-cut way of saying the opening slot on the main stage is definitely better than the headline slot on the fifth stage.
No. I mean, outdoors, which Arctangent isn't, but usually the main stage, Download 2000 Trees, is outdoors. It's fucking hard, man. I saw Alexis on Fire at Download. It's even hard for a band of that level to play at, like, I don't know, 4 p.m. or whatever on the main stage, because you're right, there's people everywhere just milling around. You're not really sure who's listening, and your
fans at the very front are more than likely your Metallica, Iron Maiden, Sleep Token, Bring Me Horizon fans that are waiting all day to see their band. So the front row eyes you're looking at are completely disinterested.
Yeah, so it's a real it can be hit and miss, and 2000 Trees main stage early on can be hit and miss. It depends on the band. You're never going to play to 15,000 people like the headliners will. So you have to adapt your set to it, and I think a lot of bands struggle to adapt because I don't know where someone told me this once. You have to. What would seem like a big movement on a small stage, just like you like banging your head, doesn't look like you're doing anything. It looks like you're standing still on a main stage. So that's why when you're watching Metallica or Guns N' Roses, they're running around, right? It's because everything has to be much more exaggerated when you're so far in the distance. So it's tough for smaller bands. But Sugar Horse won't have that arctangent. You know, I watched Anta, another Bristol band, did that slot last year at arctangent, and you're playing to a few thousand people at 11 a.m. in the dark because it's indoors. So it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, Meryl Streep will be a good example of that this year at 2000 Trees. You're going to see him in his natural habitat, the World Stage, with, I don't know, 1,000 people who are all Meryl Streep fans or at least invested in Meryl Streep. And then you're going to see him the next morning at what time's your stage open? 11, 12?
Yeah, 11, I think.
And with a lot of people in that room, that field, that don't know who he is. And then it's like, he was a one-man. I don't know if you've seen the videos now. What he couldn't tell us before, bringing in the live drummer, that is now there. The videos are on his socials with the drummer. It sounds fantastic. It was amazing too, because like when he was doing the whole speech, like there's nothing worse than people come up telling you ever thought about getting a drummer. And I was swallowing it because I was one of those people. And then there he is with the drummer, and it's infinitely better. You know, like, well, I know it. Like you get people say, "Oh, I don't want to be told this, don't want to be told this," but it's also right. I mean, you can tell straight away the energy in the room. The drummer's fantastic. Just the noise the drum kit makes in comparison to the track of a drum is like that live sound of the drum kit. It's I cannot wait. I was already looking forward to seeing him, but I cannot wait to see him, especially in that word tent with the drummer. And then at Damnation with a drummer, it's going to be fucking great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you're coming up to Trees the Tuesday night, aren't you?
I believe so. We have got a motorhome. We are picking up the motorhome. We're driving down on a Monday night to Alton Towers. And then probably just stay over somewhere on the Monday night, Alton Towers. Then we're doing Tuesday, the full day, Alton Towers to, well, you're sick of being at Alton Towers for about 5 or 6 o'clock. And it's 2 hours to the farm. So I'm thinking by 8, 9 o'clock on site at Trees, just at that moment when the anticipation's absolutely buzzing and everyone's at that bar.
Just when I'm thinking Tuesday night, time for an early night, you're going to arrive.
He came in like a wrecking ball. On Wednesday morning, crippled and broken, like, oh, Gav, he's done me again.
Fucking hell.
So, that is all we have to say about that. I want one last thing now. See, one person comes off this fucking podcast and thinks that there's any bee in our bonnets with Sugar Horse or there's any bad blood. I am going to fucking set my house on fire, right? I am all in this joke. I don't even mind. Make some merch, call us pricks again. But I tell you one bit of the line that did catch me other than calling us old. I looked at their picture, I'm 43, they're definitely 39. So I don't know where the old things came from. It said how little we paid them to play our festivals. I looked at when they played Damnation, it was last year's Night of Salvation. I lost about 20 grand in that show. So whatever fucking, I don't know what I paid Sugar Horse, but whatever you've lost in that show, I lost infinitely more. And I'm not blaming them for the full 20 grand, but I'm blaming them for most of it.
Yeah, we're still friends, aren't we?
Other than that, we're still absolutely pals. So, talking of good pals, lose, bruise. Yesterday, I made an emergency refill order. We were running out of everything. It was getting a bit desperate. I ordered Cursey's Metal Hands, 2 lemon peri peri, 2 V Rev. Please, people, check out this V Rev. He's restocked it. It's one. It's smoky maple and mustard. It's gorgeous. One of his best ones. I got Crazy Pedros, which has been restocked. I got Ghosted. First time I've tried that one. Seems like one of the ones going to burn the teeth out of you. And I got one of these Chipotle ones. I got in touch with him and I said, do not refund that order. I will pay for that order using my Pod 10 and free delivery. But if you have a rummage behind the sofa and you can find like a sold out Winnie the Lou or Almost Famous or Mammoth Juice, I would absolutely love if you chucked in one of the sold out efforts, because scrolling through and seeing the ones you can't get is a wee bit heartbreaking. So hopefully they will be delivered soon. My family is all in on the Lou's Bruise experience. He does have a new collab with Whitechapel, a barbecue bourbon. If I didn't have so many barbecue sauces downstairs, I might even have had a shot of that one. But if you're a Whitechapel fan, a barbecue fan, have a wee shot of that. 2 promoters, 1 pod, sold out, has been sold out for a while. I noticed now this week the Damnation sauce is now sold out too. Hopefully those collabs come back soon. Is he working with you guys this year for a Trees and Arctangent?
Do you know what? I saw an Instagram reel yesterday of like, Arctangent had posted it, I think, and he'd reshared it, being like, "Oh, I best get working on the hot sauce." So I'm hoping, Lou, I know you're listening, that there's a trees one coming for trees, 2 promoters, 1 pod, 1 coming for trees, and an Arctangent one coming for Arctangent, and then no doubt a damnation one. But I know you're a busy man, mate, so let us know what you're thinking. He's at Download this weekend, so he's not going to be making any sauces.
Yes, it's a shame. Honestly, it's a shame. I really enjoyed the Download preview last year, and then I enjoyed doing the Download review as well. It's a shame that, well, firstly, we couldn't get Cam to come on to talk about Download, and it's a shame that we're not going this weekend, because it was a good chat and it was a good weekend.
I'm fucking gutted I'm not going. I fucking hate people enjoying festivals when I'm not there. I don't want to hear about it. My dad and Barbara and Miles are all still going. Fucking annoying. Anyway, we live to fight another day. There's bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Makes you feel better. I am not going to Download. I'm going to do the Sunday at Outbreak, the day that's ridiculously stacked with Knocked Loose and Death Heaven and all the hardcore bands. So I'm going to go down. So next week's pod, I will give some sort of feedback on the Outbreak experience. Hopefully as good as it was last year. Anyway, the last bit to wrap up was Bruise. Pod 15. Go and get, especially any of those sauces I've tried before. The only one I've not tried is Ghosted, which I assume is just hot as fuck. But the rest of them, unbelievable. A special shout out for the V-Reb collab, the smoky maple and mustard. That is a cracker. If you want one of these ones that's more about flavour than the spice, then that's where to go.
Lovely. Okay, let's do a few questions to get ourselves wrapped up. So Russell Bills asked, there's a few trees bands, including Coheed, that have announced tours this week for the end of the year. Is it part of the contract that they can't announce these until X amount of weeks before the festival? Well, for a decent sized band, if I can't get an exclusive, then I'd usually have a clause saying that we announce 2 months before the tour announces. And that it's hard, right? Because I've got some sort of exclusivity in probably 90% of my offers. But how do you actually keep track of that? You know, when he says there's these tours announced, I probably haven't seen all of them announced. So we haven't got a process for keeping on top of the exclusivities and whether or not they've been broken. Because it's a massive admin exercise. I don't think it ultimately really makes you any money. The other day I saw the Melvins tour and I was like, fuck, that's definitely broken my exclusivity. I went back and I looked at the email and it was like, oh no, they haven't. I was like, why didn't I? That's not. If I had my time again, my exclusivity would be different. I feel like I let them do too much, given how much I'm paying. But the reason I put this question in this week is because I noticed that a band had just announced a tour. I'm not telling you what band it is or what festival they're playing. And I was like, motherfuckers have fucking broken my exclusivity. So I went back and they had. So I emailed the agent and I forwarded the confirmation email and I said, Band X have broken my exclusivity by announcing this tour. See the email below. And the agent replied, he didn't say hi James or anything. He just went, no, comma, we changed it. That was it. No, I said you broken my exclusivity and he said, no, we changed it.
We changed what? The exclusivity?
Well, look, this agent has had, I don't want to give away who it is. He's had lots and lots of massive bands at the festivals over the years. He is a big fucking cheese. I don't even know what the fuck his stupid email means. It's basically him just telling me to fuck off. And it's him saying to me, I'm bigger than you, fuck off. I think that's what it is.
And James, is he bigger than you and are you going to fuck off?
Well, it's tricky because I'm not one for conflict and I'm also very busy at the moment and I don't need stress in my life.
And you can't put a genie back in the bottle either.
No.
It's one of these things as well. Once these things are out, it's not like you can go, how to address this is take it back off. It's done, it's away.
I mean, the one thing I can tell you for definite is this wasn't on an email because I have all those records and I've checked them. Was it on did he phone me up and say we can only do this if we can do this? I don't fucking know. I think no, but I'm not sure 100% trust my memory. And basically, I can't be fucked, so I'm going to let it slide, I think. It's so fucking annoying. It's so annoying. I'm swearing a lot. My mum said to me this week, she listened to the Kerrang podcast And she just replied saying it was very good. You didn't swear once for an hour, which I feel like was a barbed comment about my language on this
I
podcast.
know, but you were a bit. I mean, you were shielding it. I listened to it. I mean, it was okay. I mean, but it was like.
Thanks for your feedback, mate.
No, but it was very much it was a watered down, polished up version of James. You know what I mean? It was very much like measured answers and on brand. I mean, that's. I don't want on brand James. I mean, I also don't want pish James who's got fucking a bit mental, wants to sleep with Tom Begley and eat egg mayonnaise sandwich. But the James in the middle where you're just like being yourself's fine.
Okay, good. Well, that's what you've got. So before you give your thing on this question, the last thing I'll say is that with exclusivity, some years I don't think you get it quite right. The balance on letting bands do other shows. I felt this year that there's too many Arctangent bands doing UK shows around the festival. But if you don't want them to do UK shows, if you don't want Pelican to do UK shows, you've got to pay them probably double what you're already paying them. If you don't want Melvins to do UK shows, you'd probably have to pay them triple. So no one knows the impact on your ticket sales that other UK shows have. I try to make sure those shows are a certain distance away from the festival and don't clash with the actual weekend. But I don't know. It's a hard balance to strike, that.
It's a hard balance. We don't have it. Usually it's a more informal, can you give us a month at least before you announce the rest, or they're tied in with someone else and we've managed to get them on the poster. I mean, the Amun Ra one's a great example. We couldn't announce Amun Ra until they played Desert Fest, but then they wanted to announce a tour pretty much after Desert Fest, and it was giving us no time with Amun Ra on the poster where it been a part of the tour, which isn't ideal either. You don't want people, an Amun Ra fan, to go, oh, here I can pay 155 quid and go to Manchester and I might not like a bit of this lineup, or I can pay 25 and I can go and see them closer where I'm getting a headline set. So you really want that time where you're trying to convince the Amun Ra fans to come. But it would only been 2 weeks, I think, before the rest of the shows get announced, and that's as good as it gets. There's been other ones where, I mean, you look at the festival posters, if it doesn't say UK exclusive under it, there's a good chance that band's going to announce other shows, and if they've not been announced yet, they'll be announced at some point. So it's a bit of a sliding scale. There's somewhere in between the exclusive and 16 dates, and again, that's a sliding scale as well. I mean, you can get a band in, let's say a band costs 10 grand on tour, and they say, we'll play Damnation exclusively, but we want 30. If we're going to fly into UK and just do Damnation, we want 30. They say, right, okay. There is also the sort of 15 to 20 grand middle ground, where it's like London in an island show, or London and Glasgow, and you get that. So it's not them coming in and hitting Liverpool, Sheffield, Nottingham, Birmingham and everything in between. It's them coming in, doing the London show, doing Glasgow, doing Damnation, and you're getting somewhere in the middle. So it's a sliding scale that you can go with. Sometimes bands want to come in and just get the big money for the one show. Sometimes bands won't come in unless they can get a full tour around it. Sometimes the money, the figures can be, you can get bands at like 5 grand that want 35 if it's an exclusive. It's like the money's just ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, that band is Dark Angel are on tour at the minute in the UK, and it's about like, oh, great shows. Why does Gavin no book Dark Angel? Well, I know the ticket sales for every one of those shows that are in the UK at the minute, and they're okay. They're like employed to serve numbers, a couple hundred tickets. But the number that Dark Angel want to come and do Damnation, they absolutely need to headline. They need to headline. That's the figures that are involved. And you're like, 200 tickets does not equal the headline slot. You know what I mean? So it's a tough one. It's like how, because a lot of that stuff's guesswork as well. I mean, now I know for a fact when I approached Dark Angel in previous years about playing, and the headline figures came back to me, it was like, I don't know for certain what they would sell in the UK because I don't really have much examples or data to go on. But I think they would do between 200 and 300 tickets a show, and they showed up, and that's exactly what they've done.
And they've done a tour, so it's less exciting to have them headlining a festival as well, isn't it? Because they've now toured. I mean, I don't mind bands touring around the festival, but I fucking hate the thing where you're paying festival fees to be part of a tour. Like, there's this expectation that a festival fee is 2 to 3 times higher than you would get for, let's say, a Bristol headline show. But if it's part of the tour, then it's part of the tour. Why am I paying more? That just
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
make any
you
sense.
get some agents up, but I mean, honestly, like, I can't mention the band, the names, fees, anything like that, but there was a plan in place. The plan in place changed because of a third party event happening elsewhere. So more dates get added to the UK, and the agent came back to me and said, let's work this out and reduce the fee for Damnation to make it in line with. This isn't the deal that we had in place. I am technically screwing you over if I go to do this. So how about we restructure the deal to make it make sense for Damnation? You're like, oh my god, you give me chills. You give
Wow.
me this is the most spectacular conversation I've ever had in my entire life. You're like, why can't we just do this? Because this is what promoters do all the time. Anytime there's anything changes at our end, you restructure the money or the deal or how it's done. Always at our end, the agents are just like, no, take, and I keep it, and you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
You're like, it doesn't need to be that way because you get to the situation it's not going to work on those bases.
No, agreed. Okay, should we do another question?
Aye, let's go with what's David Chittock. Hi all. I've just seen a post on Metal Hammer page where Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm says it's an honour to be the only female performer in the Black Sabbath farewell gig. Do you think it's okay that other shows and festivals get dragged over the coals for diversity, but nobody seems to have batted an eyelid over this? What I will tell you, David, is it does not surprise me at all.
I mean, I thought it was a very weird thing for Lizzie to say. I mean, I realise I'm a man saying this, so it may not work that well, but it feels a really strange thing for a woman to say. It's like celebrating the male domination of the lineup. I just don't really understand that. Now, someone on the Two Promoters One Pod Facebook group made the point that they don't agree with diversity for diversity's sake, but I just think that the organisers of this could have tried a bit harder to give young female musicians something to look up to. That's always the thing I come back to. If your daughter wants to get into this sort of music, she can't go to that show and see any examples of her on the stage apart from one. Out of, like, let's say 100 musicians over the day, it's probably more than that. I just don't know why they couldn't have. It's not diversity. I don't think that would have been diversity for diversity's sake. I don't think why they couldn't have made a bit more effort there. And Sharon Osbourne has presumably spent her career being the only woman in the room, and I thought she might care about that sort of thing. Having said that, I've tried to do the bookings for them, and I found it quite difficult to find female musicians that fit perfectly with Sabbath in the way that Metallica is an obvious booking, Pantera is an obvious booking. So this is my best effort. This is the best I could do. I might have missed some people, but Amy from Evanescence or Courtney from Spirit Box would have been cool to do a song. They can both sing. I thought Baby Metal could have done something super fun. It would have been really fun. Skin from Skunk and Nancy could do an amazing job. Nightwish, a massive. There's a bunch of these. There's a lot of guitar heroes now out there on YouTube, and people like Sophie Lloyd. There's a bunch of female people that could get out on stage and fucking rip out some Iommi riffs. Courtney Love, if Billy Corgan fits, why not Courtney Love? I don't know if she's still doing anything. So I think they could have fucking tried a little bit harder than they have. That is my honest answer. And I know that not everyone wants to have diversity for diversity's sake, but I don't think that would have taken a lot of effort.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, David, that I meant about not being surprised at all, is that like this is the way of the world. It's like you can get dragged over the coals and your life made hell about even considering a Phil Anselmo booking, and then they can go and fill arenas up and down the UK and no one batting an eyelid. In fact, I've seen it firsthand, the kind of people that have a go at you about Tack or McGrath or Marduk are the ones away to the Pantera show, and because it suits their narrative at that point. It's like they don't care about the black metal bands that are screaming about you being a racist, but they do care about Pantera, and they're willing to shut their eyes for that one and just go and buy the ticket. And it's like this with the gender balance as well. It's these events just happen, and they're big, and no one cares because they just want to go and hear that. So, but it's 2,000 Trees that gets dragged over the coals and the poster held up under the microscope. And I mean, I like this whole the racism thing we were talking earlier, and the t-shirts. I mean, these are sort of arguments that I feel like only happen on the internet. The discussions that only exist on the internet. I have 20 years. I've never had anyone ever have a discussion with me about the gender balance in the lineup or anything to do with racism at all. It seems to be only on the internet it exists. And someone had a go at me when we done the whole gender, diversity and gender balance thing in lineups before, because we'd been praised by Serena from Svalbard. It's been a festival that seems to do it unforced. And I said, I don't make any effort whatsoever. I don't think about it. I still don't think about it. Haven't thought about it at all. And you just got on with it. Someone says, no, you have to. You have to think about it. It's like, you do not. You're part of the problem, because I am the definition of the problem. The white, straight, middle-aged male. I am the problem. But I wake up in the morning being the problem in a lot of people's eyes. And I don't have an opinion. I'm not allowed an opinion out with me being a white, middle-aged, straight guy. And I was like, well, surely that's where we all want to get to. Like, you book and you don't, because you book on merits. And like, here's what happened this year. I had no idea that crippling alcoholism feature a woman. I had no idea that Oryx feature a woman. I just booked these bands because we're great. So I'm looking at them going, I could just take credit for that, couldn't I? I could just be like, oh, look at me, I am so on the ball with this stuff. But I'm not, and I'm not trying to take credit for it now. But it's like, we will be the ones that get held up and say, oh, well, why do you know, but why is Chelsea Wolfe not there? Why is Chelsea Wolfe not there? And well, first off, we tried, and secondly, she would be if she ever said yes. So it's an odd one, because you're right. The Black Sabbath show will happen. One woman will be there, and it'll barely get mentioned. And then 2000 Trees will happen, and dozens and dozens and dozens of women will be there, and it'll still be getting held under the microscope. And then Damnation will happen. Less so than 2000 Trees, but there will be women represented on stage, and always is. Just because there's a lot of women in great bands. And again, it'll be something that we tackle. That I mean, I don't know how you get that through to the bigger. How do you make the person that's raging about Tack being a black metal band that have got some sketchy past also be raging about Pantera when they really want to hear 5 minutes Alone and Walk?
Yeah. I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking, I'm criticising Sharon Osbourne for not thinking about it. And then if you ask me how many women are on the lineup at Arctangent this year, I don't know. Because it's not like I'm trying desperately to force women onto that lineup either. I mean, it kind of just happens at Trees. The brilliant thing is that there are the underground scene, the new bands coming through are full of, non-white men. Less so Arctangent. So it's a weird space to be criticising other people and then potentially not paying loads of attention to it yourself. So yeah, it's weird. As
did one more, and then we'll go on the record.
Okay.
Jonathan. Not so much.
Sorry.
Not so much. Oh, you read that? Aye, okay. I'm not doing all the jobs.
Jonathan Bruskin asks, not so much a question as it is a topic for a pod. The merch tent. Can you talk about the logistics of having tens of bands coming in and out, getting their merch to the tent, the financial side of selling the merch, and how much it impacts the bottom line, etc.?
I mean, the reason that I did add this in, Jonathan, as a question, because we've done the great merch debate, and you can go back to that episode, and it is an episode dedicated to merch and everything about it. The merch cuts, the pricing, how it all goes, the garments, all that jazz. So I don't think there's enough scope in it for a great merch debate too just yet. So the logistics of it, it's a pain in the arse. It's a pain in the arse, like most things when you've got, I mean, and that's in a car park in the outskirts of Manchester. I can only imagine for James and his team, it's an absolute fucking disaster in fields. You get bands showing up at all times in the day, all areas of the arena, with boxes of merch that they need loaded, a lot of times through crowds. The dream scenario is everyone's there before doors, everything gets set up, counted, they sell or we sell. If we sell, it's 20%. If they sell themselves, it's 0%. They can do it, but they need to provide the staff. If I need to hire somebody in, you need to pay 20% to cover the staff. And it would all be set up, doors would open and everyone would walk in, and there's money to be made. There's money to be made, but people come and spend a lot of money. Our fan base love merch, and if you've got a good merch range, and you've got the sizes you want and good quality, you can make tens of thousands if you're a big band, especially if you're a big band that people don't get to see often. An American band that to ship that merch in might cost you an extra tenner. People will splash out in merch, so there's a lot of money to be made for it. But that dream scenario doesn't happen. Bands show up at 3, 4, 5, 6, vans parked in the back, crew coming through, loading in, spare table somewhere, getting bundled over, and it's a bit messy. But we've got a good team in place. and we either help the bands get that set up for themselves, or we get it set up for them and go from there.
Yeah, so I think we at some point we should have Kev on the podcast to talk about the stuff he does. So he runs Big Scary Monsters and Alco Pop record labels, but he also does the Trees and Arctangent merch. I mean, him and his team are fucking brilliant. So most of my answer to this question comes from him. I asked him last night. And in 2024, we had 83 bands sell at Trees, 96 bands sell at ATG. Less than 30 of them replied to the emails before the event. So what that means is, effectively, you've got 4 days of bands walking in with boxes and sometimes carrier bags of screwed up T-shirts, which Kev and his team have to sort, tidy, count, put on sale, and then a few hours later, the band wanders back in. You have to do it all in reverse, give them their money, and then off they go. And so there's a lady called Josie who does this for Kev and for us. So she started contacting bands in April, and it's like chasing information. Like we can help with printing, shipping, suggestions on quantities, because bands from outside the UK often have no idea what they'll sell at an Arctangent or a Trees. What should they sell? How much should they sell them for? And it's a big exercise. I mean, bands complain about the fucking merch commission, but it's to get 96 bands through Arctangent is wild. We sold every single band bar one of their merch, 96 bands. So yeah, I mean, Kev did ask me to give, if there's any bands listening that are playing the festivals this year, please reply to Josie's email. And I think that's directed at you as well, Gav.
Yeah, in fact, I was just thinking, if I will get an email for Kev for the two promoters one pod.
Because if they don't know, they can't set anything up. We got, it's all electronic payments. There's these POS devices. They can't set. They could have a two promoters one pod thing set up with the costs and the different types of merch. It's a lot on the day. I mean, it is a lot.
And a lot of people come in different. I mean, a lot of people, your initial meeting, I mean, no one better than Sarah to talk to this. That initial meeting with a band that have just flown for 8 hours, got on a train, and they can be pretty narky. You know what I mean, they come in, they're not always in the best of moods at that initial bit, and then add that into the chaos that is a merch tent in full swing with someone else who's also very busy at what they're doing. It can be chaotic, and I've seen it at all different events, and it's like how you get that band from fucking Spain or Portugal flying in, collecting their merch from Kent, and then getting to Manchester and then giving it to some woman they've only known through over email. And then this is what always happens like that. It made me laugh about the whole email in advance. The amount of times that someone says, please sell our merch for us, we are more than happy to give you 20% of the 200 quid we'll make with the one t-shirt I've got, and then showing up the day and saying, no, we'll sell it ourselves. And then the other direction, someone who says they're going to sell it themselves, so you haven't hired a seller for them, saying, can you sell for us? Apparently you can sell for 20%. I said, man, that advancing was done months ago. I mean, like, this whole process is done, and it doesn't matter how many times you try, we've never got it that everyone shows up in the day and does exactly what it says on the form, if they've even filled it in. So they show up and it's like, if you've got us selling for it, you can sell like a hoodie, a couple of tees, maybe a vinyl or a CD, and they show up and it's like an ashtray and candles. Like, you're asking me to set up a shop here in a space of 20 minutes in a busy tent when I'm trying to serve someone else? It's like pure madness.
Yeah, it is mad. And we've got this thing at Trees this year where we've changed the layout of our backstage slightly, where we've moved our artist liaison point. So it means that bands used to park by the merch when they checked in, and now they don't park by the merch. So we're trying to work out this logistic exercise of remember when we were on tour? I remember loading out from Bristol on that first night, loading in all enthusiastic and loading out down those fucking slippy stairs, being like, being in a band is shit. All those boxes just for us, so many boxes. So if you're Tesseract or Wardruna, like, you need to be able to, ideally, you need to be able to drive to the back of the merch tent. Otherwise, how are you even getting your stuff there? Yeah. Potentially in the pouring rain in cardboard boxes. So,
yeah. I mean, just because I feel like maybe the band that forced their own sales is who Daniel's going to come on to. So Daniel Singleton's follow-up question on the merch. I've asked before about the Swan situation in 2023. They turned up with loads of vinyl, CDs, books, shirts, and filled 4 tables, whereas all the other artists get crammed together. Was that agreed in advance, or did they just turn up and take over? I mean, how much stays on tour and how much is coming on to the podcast, James?
No, I mean, I'm quite open about Swans now. I mean, frankly, they're a fucking nightmare on a number of levels. The only bit about Swans I like is the on-stage part. This question reminded me how pissed off I was about it. I sent Kev, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, a voice memo this morning, basically saying, if this ever happens in future, because I sometimes think our team don't contact me because they know I don't want to be contacted. I'm watching a band, I don't want to be bothered. But with a situation like this, where Swans basically forced us to change our processes, I wish Kev had radioed me and I would have said no. This is how it works. Like it or lump it. But they are the one and only band where we give them their own table, their own device, and we let them have as much fucking room as they want. There's 95 bands crammed in to the merch tent, and then Swan's taken over fucking loads of it and selling it for themselves. It wasn't that cool. And also, Kev pointed out that they announced a signing from the stage. I think we might have mentioned this before on the podcast. He literally
I haven't heard it
he
before.
literally just said from stage, "Yeah, we're gonna do a signing at the merch tent." So they're all just stood there selling stuff, and suddenly there's just like 100 people. Swan's finished, 100 or more people just went whoosh to the merch tent. Like no one else could get near the desk. It was just because if you're going to have a signing, you need to have a plan.
They set up, get a bit of ped barrier, get a queue.
Yeah, this is where the guy from Mogwai is going to sit. This is where the queue is, But no, complete chaos. So they are fun to deal with. I would book them again, but fucking hell, painful.
Aye. It's tough going. Okay.
And none of it. Sorry, to be clear, none of it was agreed in advance.
Aye. Well, I mean, it sounded that way. Okay, well, to wrap us up, because we're now ticking on a bit, our good friends at Eyesore Merch, they are at Download this weekend. This is the first time, if you're listening to this on the way to Download, go up to the tent, try the Pod 10 chat, see if the Pod 10 chat works in real life, see if you can get a discount on your merch in real life. If not, which I'm sure you won't, ask for Ali. Tell them you're listening to the pod. Tell them thank you for supporting the pod on behalf of Gavin and James and Bri. And just go and support that outfit they have got. When I've banged on about their range, you'll see it in person when you're at Download. I noticed that they have just they've just released like a 50th anniversary Motorhead collection of hundreds of shit. All Motorhead specials, t-shirts, the vinyls. Go and fill your boots with some Motorhead goodness. Yesterday, I went on, I treated myself to 2 Radiohead t-shirts, which I've never done before. I don't really like wearing bands that are super popular, because you just look like that guy that's got out of a top shop. But I feel like Radiohead have fallen off the radar to that. They're almost like, they've kind of became cool in a way again, like maybe this new generation never even heard of fucking Radiohead. And the items were good. I don't know at the minute whether I'm a medium or a large. I'm somewhere between, sometimes you put on a medium and it looks like it's been painted on me, and then I put on a large and I look like I'm wearing my mum's 90. So my body's somewhere between a medium and a large, so I ordered a medium and a large. We'll see how that pans out with whatever brand they use. I used Pod 10, got both shirts for everyone delivered for about 40 quid, so looking forward to receiving them. Support Eyesore Merch, EYESORE merch.com, Pod 10.
Fantastic. I need some t-shirts, so I will be getting on there this week. Okay, on the record.
On the record. What are you hitting us with, James?
I'm going to hit you with Headstones, which is the new song by Creeper. So I'm here to tell you one thing I know as a fact. Creeper are better than Ghost, and the new song by Creeper is better than all the songs on the new Ghost album. The reason I compare these two bands is because they are aiming at the same crowd. Stop listening to fucking Ghost, people. Get Creeper on. This new song, I'm so happy, genuinely. It's the thing I've needed in my life. It is an absolute fucking rager. 3 minutes, pop metal perfection, with an actual, here's a chorus, an actual fucking chorus. I love Creeper. I fucking love Creeper. And they announced that so what Creeper do, normally, is from album to album, they completely changed style. So they did like a David Bowie album, and then they did like a Meatloaf Judas Priest album. And every time they change, and this time they decided not to change. So we're getting another Meatloaf Judas Priest album. Fucking yes. Bring it on. I'm literally lapping it up. None of this is fake enthusiasm. I fucking love Creeper. This song is brilliant.
I do not doubt it. I do not
This song is
doubt
brilliant.
it. I listen, one thing I can definitely get on board with is everyone stop listening to Ghost. If that means you've changed your direction to Creeper, then so be it. Just fucking stop listening to Ghost. So, yes, I agree. Will you support the soon-to-be massive bands, and I will support the soon-to-be known bands? Dimscûa. Dim fucking Skewer. Elder Burn. That is the opening track of this Dust Eater EP/album that I have completely fucking fallen in love with. It sounds immediately, you'll get the Amun Ra vibes, you will definitely get a bit of doom, you'll definitely get a bit of sludge. There is a point in it where, what I love so much about the vocals, it's wailing. There's bits where it almost like it gets into that ghost bath territory, like a squeal at some points without going too far. And it's just that bits, as I said, it's emotionally very fucking heavy. Cannot believe our luck that not only were Overhead the Albatross from Dublin, but these guys are from some gaff called Berkshire. I mean, they're probably stinking rich. Sounds like a stinking rich kind of place. And we can get our hands on them. So, I mean, this band like fucking 6 days ago hadn't released music. And like, let's start shifting bands off the lineup and get this band on. I fucking love that story. Please, for the love of God, if you've had any faith in my recommendations, your Julie Christmases, your Meryl Streaks, your crippling alcoholisms, Overhead the Albatross, Dinner Celestial Birds, Hidden Mothers, get on board with this band. I want to see them go places, and I'm glad to be on the journey from pretty much fucking day one by the sounds of it. So I hope the listeners to the pod as well, and because that'll be an extra wee fucking boost. Who was the last band we done that for? There was somebody else that listened that couldn't believe that I was fucking singing about them like I was their mum and dad. So that is my pick for On The Record. That will be there. Go, and if you haven't already stopped this podcast to go and listen to the full record, go and do it now.
Yeah, me too. I'm literally going to go and make my lunch and listen to this record. Great.
Text me. Voice note me. And gonna learn to do the voice notes so it doesn't sound like you're in the bottom of a fucking tin can.
Mate,
like,
I don't know what's going on.
Fix it, James. Come on. Well, better than that. Look at the technology around us now. Look what we've achieved.
Don't get cocky about the sound. You're about to go and listen back to it. It's too late.
My mic's been switched off the whole time. Good man. Until next week, we'll chat a wee bit Outbreak. And no doubt we'll get a wee bit of feedback from download, even though we're not there. I'm sure Miles and your dad will let you know. James's dad, please stay out the mud. Stay on your feet, big man. We don't want to lose you that way. And we'll go for there.
Lovely stuff.